Hi, this video is going to tell you a little bit more about the program Aleks that we're going to use for our main homework system, as well as for several of the exams that you're going to take in this class. Now, I just went into Canvas and I went to the page within the modules that said to create the Aleks account and complete the initial knowledge check. That way you kind of see how this looks. This is what you should be doing the first couple days of the class, where you will go and actually create an Aleks account. So you'll go to aleks.com and you can see all of the details within the directions. But the main things that you're going to need are going to be right here. It says your course code. So you can copy and paste that, or you might have to enter it into the little boxes that it has for you. But that's going to get you into our Math 420 course. Then there's a financial aid access code. This code is available to you. It does not give you an additional 2 weeks, but allows you to just get into Aleks and get started right away. Because the first thing you want to do, maybe today, first day of class, you want to complete the initial knowledge check. Now, the way Aleks works is an adaptive learning program. And so it's going to take what you know and what you show that you know and adapt to help you out. So I've assigned some specific objectives, and I'm going to actually kind of show you how that works. But the first time that you sign in, once you create your account, it's going to ask you to take a knowledge check and work through a little tutorial on how to use the tools to enter your answers. So I'm going to pretend that all of that already happened, and I'm going to go over to my Aleks tab. And so when you go into Aleks, this is normally the first home screen that you see. And so I have it set to show me my Aleks Pi. You can click between Timeline and Aleks Pi. But your main job before this course is over is to complete this entire Pi. So I just completed the knowledge check, and it says that I know 12% of the objectives that are required for the class so far. So not bad. If you get 0, that's totally fine. This Pi represents all the information that you'll be learning in this class during the next 18 weeks. If you look up at the top, there's a list of all of the, or not a list, but a number that shows you that 15 objectives have been learned, and then you have 108 left. So there's a total of 123 objectives. Some of them are goal topics that I have assigned. And then there are some prerequisite topics that Aleks thinks that you should be able to do before you do some of those goal topics. You might have more prerequisites than another classmate. Again, it's a learning program. It learns and adapts to you. So one other thing to note is that I have the middle set as a percentage. So 12% is how much I have done so far. If you click on it, it says the number 15. That's just a number. That's a number of objectives. So your grade for Aleks will come from either your percentage of the pie. So right now, if I did no more work, I would earn 12% as my Aleks grade, which hopefully none of you are going to get. But you want to work on getting this number up to as close to 100% as you can to show that you've mastered the content for this course. There's another way that you can earn your grade on Aleks, and I'll show you how that is. But this Aleks is going to be the main way that we get our homework and learn the objectives for our course, as well as a place where we're going to take our assessments for our class. All assessments except for our final will be done through the Aleks program. So now, when you get started, the little 3 bars on the far left gives you all the different options that are going on. So when I assign an exam, you'll end up going to the assignment button. But for now, when I click on the assignment button, all that it has is, it shows me this little bullseye thing. That's the pie that I'm currently working on. And then you can say view upcoming, and you can kind of see these are all a lot more of the objectives that are coming up for our class. If we have an exam coming up, you would see that here. So I don't normally go to this assignment part. I normally would go to just the learning. So that's where you're going to want to go most of the time, the Learn tab. And when you're in the Learn tab, there's a few different things that you want to see going on in here. At the very top, it has the topic that you're learning about. So if you want to Google search more YouTube videos or something like that, you can always see like what the actual topic is that you're working on. On the far right, these other tools, sometimes a calculator is available to you. You're welcome to use your own scientific calculator, no graphing calculators. You could click on videos. If you click on the videos, it has links to little mini lectures that you can watch that could help you with this particular content. And it also has sections from a textbook. Again, it just takes you to more videos, actually. This is not connected to our OpenStax book that I provided to you as a resource, but it does have some features that are from a particular textbook. So you see section 4.3, that's a different textbook than our OpenStax one. So pay attention on Canvas to the section numbers that correspond to OpenStax. So remember, OpenStax was our free online textbook. So when you go over to actually start a problem or start a section, It gives you a question, an explanation. You can click on all the words if you're unsure about some of the vocabulary, and it will tell you what that means. So if I click on like the word product, it'll bring me up to what it means to be a product. So that could be helpful for you. There's a lot of vocabulary that we take for granted in math, especially as teachers. But if you're unclear, you can always click on those. And then when you're ready to start, you can see the answer right there after they had worked it all out. But you can say, okay, let's start. So your job with this particular objective is to complete several in a row. So you can see these little bars at the top. Those are telling you if you're right or wrong. So if we try this first one right now, how we have like 2y minus 5 times 7y plus 2. I'm just going to make a random guess and say 14. And then I'm going to say check. And it says try again. So 14 is not the answer. So then I could do a couple different things for myself. I could click on the explain. And the answer I enter will be lost. That's okay, because maybe I just don't know what's happening. And so then it takes me to an explanation of how to work through that problem. And then you can go and do more practice. And then it will give you a chance to try that problem again. So maybe this time, okay, let's multiply it out. You're gonna get like 6x to the second plus, I think it'll be like 25x. I did it on my scratch paper here. Oops, not as an exponent. Let me delete that. I gotta get back out of the exponent. So plus 25x plus 4. And so I'm gonna check that that is correct. And so it's like, excellent, yay. Now, when you click next, it'll give you another problem with the same objective, but different numbers. And so what's going to happen is you're trying to fill in these bars. And if you get 3 in a row, then you get to move on to the next objective. Otherwise, it makes you keep trying and you've got to go through 5 of these. So one of the things, if you kind of get bored with this particular problem, if you click on this little drop down, then you can see a list of all the different topics that I asked you guys to do for this first objective. The first objective, and I'm going to click again on this drop down arrow. This is the first objective, and if you scroll down, you can see these are actually all the objectives for the entire rest of the course. And right now, I'm able to click on any one I want because you don't have any that are assigned and due, but these will become locked when the first one opens for you, or they might already be locked if you're looking at it right now. And so the only way to get them unlocked, if you want to go back to old topics that you maybe missed, is to complete whatever the current topic is. So like if we're all the way over to factoring part 2 and you're like, oh, I didn't get to do the GCF one and it's locked, it'll make you do the factoring first, then you can go back to the old one. Now, if there's any old topics that you need in order to complete this one successfully, they'll be embedded. And what I mean by embedded is if you look at this list of topics here, there are some that are locked, and then these little diamond ones, those are gold topics. Those are ones I actually assigned. And then sometimes there will be some things in here that don't have anything marked on them, and they're just a prerequisite that it wants you to do. So right now this doesn't have any markings on it, so that's going to be a prereq topic, not a goal topic that I'm asking you to do. So then again, you can go through all of those. If you want to review for a test, you can click on the review, and that will let you practice more problems, but it will only review the things that you have mastered previously. So again, normally you'll be clicking on the Learn tab. You can click on the gradebook. This is the gradebook only for Aleks. And when I mentioned earlier about the percentage of the pie, your Aleks grade is based on your percentage of the pie complete or whatever grade that you have in here, whichever one's higher. And that's going to count as your Aleks homework grade. So as you're working through Aleks, you'll be doing a couple other knowledge checks. Those just automatically pop up when Aleks thinks that you need to kind of check in and see if you're remembering things. And it might increase your pie or lower your pie percentage. And so that's going to be like an end thing. By the end of the semester, I hope that you've done well on the pie. But in the meantime, each time that you're asked to complete an objective by a certain deadline, as long as you do it, you'll be increasing this Aleks grade. So if you finish the first 2 objectives that I ask you to do, you do them on time, then this could be 100%. So if the class were to end right now and this is 100% and my Aleks pie says only 12%, you would get the 100%. So whichever one's higher. So if you fall behind at any time, just keep in mind that this grade doesn't have to matter. Really what matters is that you complete the pie. And so that's where we're at right now. I think that's all I wanted to show you on the Aleks. Just keep in mind that you need to complete the knowledge check. as soon as possible, and the PI is our main goal. We will have online exams. I'll tell you more about that as we get closer, but that's where we are. So if you have any other questions, please make sure that you email me and let me know if there's something I can help you with. And that's all I got.